Ashes of War provide any Elden Ring experience with some of the most broken, overpowered, and goofiest moments you can have with this game. People have used every Ash of War in the game to beat every boss, but what if you don't get to choose your Ashes of War? Or plan the bosses that you're gonna use them on? That's what I set out to see. So I decided to beat an Elden Ring randomizer using only Ashes of War. I would have to find them myself throughout the world, and had no idea what bosses would be beyond every fog wall. And as an added challenge, I decided I couldn't use somber weapons, as I felt the skills on those weapons are frequently a little too powerful, and I like pain. And to add even more pain, after defeating a Remembrance replacement boss, I had to discard that Ash of War, and it was no longer usable. And if I used the built-in Ash of War on a weapon, I could no longer use that weapon at all. This forced me to use a variety of Ash of Wars, and not just run through the game spamming the best one I get my hands on. So like the video and subscribe. Sit back and enjoy an Elden Ring randomizer with only Ashes of War. I actually decided to choose Prisoner for this run, as it had a Claymore, and Claymores go crazy. As with any Elden Ring randomizer, the beginning consisted of a whole lot of looting, so I'll just showcase the Ashes of War that I find and where I snag them, along with any progression-based items. This graveyard is the best time to point out that, oh my god, I have never had a randomizer give me so many legendary items. None of them were nearly as good as the Lightning Ram Ash of War that I got, and I didn't even get many remembrances that I could sell, but I just found it odd. There's not that many legendary items in the game, so getting 3 in 1 graveyard was just kinda crazy. Snagging this black wet blade could end up being huge as well. If I got a proper Ash of War for it, suddenly I had a bleed to complement him, so I wasn't complaining about finding this one. And with finding Wild Strikes, I was able to slap a bleed Wild Strikes onto my Claymore and smack Grail for some dough. But now with some levels, a juicy leveled up Claymore, and a goofy Ash of War that I've never used before, with aspects of the Crucible wings, it was time to say hi to whoever was waiting on Margit's Bridge, and hope that this Ash of War would get me by. For this fight, it was more than enough. Radagon has enough openings that I was able to actually get it off, and just do a bit of tanking. With that was the run through of Stormveil, and to see who was replacing Godric. A lonely little tree sentinel was a boss I was pretty comfortable losing my Crucible wings to. It was a fun Ash of War, and I can see it being pretty viable with a decent build, and if it's with a more complementary weapon, and it made quick work of the tree sentinel. I started heading towards the precipice with the expectation of having to go up it, seeing as I didn't have either Dectus medallions, but I was able to find them both right near the lift, one at Bellum Church and the other sold by the merchant right next to it. so it was time for Altus. I did the typical looting and wasn't able to find anything for Ashivores. I didn't even find a weapon with a good default one. So it was getting a little tense, but I did get the Haligtree medallion, which meant it would be time to lightning ram the shit out of an NPC at the round table hold.
Round 1, fight!
I figured it was time to check out Radahn's replacement, as I find him to be the most convenient remembrance alongside Godric, and I could lightning ram the boss while the boys put in some work, if I felt it was a goofier boss. And sure enough it was. The Crystallian duo was the perfect boss for the lightning ram plus Fella's wombo combo. I just got to have a blast rolling around and eventually killing them. Up next was the boss preventing me from entering Lanedale, and this time it was a bell-bearing hunter. I stepped up with Lion's Claw, but it's a slower Ashivore, and I tend to fight the bell-bearing hunters a little more on the safe side, and it went really well. I ended up dying again on purpose as a genius tactical maneuver so that I could switch to the dueling shield that I had found in Stormvale. Shield Strike is a fast Ashivore that you don't have to chain, so it allowed me to play slow, get the hits in when I have the good opportunity, and I was able to take care of them. Pissfree was a Knight's Cav, and once again, even though Lion's Claw is a hard-hitting Ashivore, this boss runs around like an absolute fool, so I ended up sticking it out with Shield Strike again. Even though the damage was lower, it was more consistent, and it also didn't cost FP. And this is my obligatory time where I say this boss has some of the worst AI I've ever seen in a game. Just look at this dickhead run around, it's unbelievable.
Game of the year, winner.
But Morgott was a cemetery shade, and I figured that was the perfect boss to receive my fat fucking dump truck leaping down onto them. So I slapped on the Ashivore and took him to Pound Town.
Oh my god! Depths of your foolishness!
After the boring run through the mountaintops, Fire Giant was the finger NPC dude from the DLC. I was expecting this to be the time my part with Shield Strike, but with how ratty this NPC is, it just wasn't doing it. I stopped the attempt and slapped on the Bleed Wild Strikes for my Claymore, and absolutely melted him. The Godskin Duo replacement was a moose. Shield Strike was still the better option, as Line Claw can miss this dude's slender legs often. And you want to talk about a marathon and not a sprint? Jesus Christ. Chipping away at this dumb animal's health was exhausting, but I did it with minimal damage. It just took more of my real life than I would have liked. The Malekith replacement was my goodbye to Shield Strike, as I decided to use it on the low health Remembrance that was an Erdtree avatar. And this unintentionally worked out really well for phase 2. It was Mimic tier, and he considers the weapon to be a shield, so Buddy just kept fisting me and barely used it. So I just got to face tank his hands and chip away at him until it was done. And with that giga difficult boss out of the way, it was time to finish it up. My options were Lion's Claw, Double Slash, and Impaling Thrust, and I think I made the better decisions per boss to close out this journey. So enjoy the finale of beating an Elden Ring randomizer using only Ashes of War. And I think proving that these little left triggers are really powerful.